On today's episode, we get the first look, sneak peek into composer-in-residence Andrew Maxfield's piece, All's Well That Ends. Well, all's well that ends. Well, all's well that ends. Well, it is really fun, really clever. He wrote the text and the music, and it's just really spectacular and funny. Just hard to do. Make sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, sign up on our email list. You can find a link to that in the show notes. And get ready for lots of Shakespeare, Bill Shakespeare. This is the Sound of Ages podcast.
She would be paid. She would be paid. She would be paid. She would be paid. This made me ask her what she meant.
Well, Drew, on this fine Tuesday morning, we find ourselves early in the morning.
Yawn to that, brother.
Dude, I had a hockey game at 10:45 last night, and I
You're
got
insane.
into my bed at 1:50 a.m. And so, you know.
No wonder you wanted to start at 7 instead of 6:30.
Yes. Everything just got pushed back longer than it should have. But
Oh my gosh.
now we are here. In the words of the philosopher Jay-Z, we started from the bottom, and now we're here.
Right back where we started.
So today, I've been looking forward to talking about this piece for a really long time. All's Well That Ends. Well. So this piece, I'll set the scene, and then you can take it away.
Okay.
All's Well, we were doing another one of our narrative concerts, and this one was A Death in the Choir, the choral murder mystery. Dun, dun, bah. That Tristan chord is actually in the show, ironically.
Absolutely.
As it should be. And we needed a like a kind of like wink and a nod to the audience of like, yes, we're silly, but wasn't that fun? Kind of closer to the show. And I was envisioning the whole concert was in this film noir style. So you have Satie on piano in the background, underscoring all of Drew's detective. Wait, what was your name again? It was Fugue. Henry Fugue.
Private Eye.
Oh man, I'm gonna play a clip again. I put a clip of Sing Actually. It's
You can't
so
out me
good.
on this podcast. All 6
Dude,
people who
it's-
listen will know what a nut I am.
Yeah, but then you're gonna start getting acting gigs. Maybe we shouldn't, because then you can't compose anymore, because you'll be getting calls from acting agents left and right.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, we could take that risk.
Lights up on a private eye. Too much. They call me Fugue, because that's my name. Henry Fugue, private eye. And my phone rings like it does at this point in every concert. Unlike you conscientious concert goers who always set your devices to silent. Am I right? Anyhow, let's see. I'm standing by the window. Just a silhouette. Cigarette in hand, candy kind. Where was I? It was a dark and stormy night. In a dark and stormy city that's got no streets, only dark and stormy alleys. You know the place. Well, my phone's ringing, but I'm busy. I'm busy brooding. I'm brooding about life, the meaning of it, whether a candy cigarette makes me cool, even in a pastiche quasi-theater piece with some real fine singing. And listen, I'm not picking up, not tonight. That's when I have so much brooding to do. All right, I'll pick up. Masterfield, what? A murder?
It was French. We did Poulenc and we did Atelier or Atelier and Seton and a bunch of these French composers. It was amazing. And so I was envisioning something that lived kind of in that world in this nice 2 to 3 minute like little button hook. And instead we got this unbelievable, incredible, very English, very Drew, Shakespearean 6-minute piece of comedic genius. No joke, no hyperbole. That's what it is. Drew, how on earth did this come to your brain?
Oh, gosh. Well, like you said, we were creating our narrative concert, and for those listeners who don't know about these goofy things, it's where we take a story of some kind that relates, doesn't relate to the musical content, doesn't matter, but the story is kind of like a thread, and then the music are like beads strung along the thread, and the story comment is sort of like the music comments on the story as the story develops. And due to profound levels of desperation over at Sound of Age's global headquarters, they have recruited or tolerated me to be the one-man acting extravaganza for these narratives so far. And so in the first one, I played this sort of like hardened misanthrope in this fake rom-com kind of thing that we did. And then in the second one, I was this bad James Cagney sort of private eye solving the mystery of why Cameron, the choral director, dropped dead within the first 30 seconds of the choir concert. And I have to say, as far as cold opens go, that was great.
It was pretty epic. That was pretty epic. And like we mentioned last time, when we talked about Sing Actually, that Ruthie Prillman kind of shaped the story, and then you took some of the nitty-gritty script tasks. And excuse me, when I first heard that idea for that cold open, I was like, Ruthie's done it again. Sheer brilliance. Like, so hilarious. No one expects
the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, right at the very first.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we were working our way through the murder mystery, and we needed a closer that kind of gave it a button at the end. And I thought to myself, literally, it's like, oh, well, we need something that feels like, I don't know, all's well that ends well. Right? Like, that's just the impulse of
like
the
lighthearted.
Piece. Yeah. And I can't remember if I had seen that play recently or just sort of vaguely remembered it, but I'm a little bit of a literary nerd. I'm not claiming to be the world's biggest reader, but I like reading, and I love theater, and I love Shakespeare. And in fact, we just got back from last week, midweek, in our backyard, we hosted a performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream for 80 of our neighbors.
Man,
and then we took
that is so cool.
It was so fun. And we took our kids over the weekend down to the Utah Shakespeare Festival, which is an absolute gem. It's it's professional equity actors that fly in from all over the country and do a summer repertory theater. And so we saw Hamlet on Friday night, and it was just chilling and like emotionally arresting, even for my kids who are 12 and 14. They were like leaning on the edge of their chair, gripped by the drama. And then the next night we saw Twelfth Night, and everybody was laughing. And the thing that blows me away is that, like, very best case scenario for me as a composer is that, like, 25 years from now, anybody remembers literally any piece at all that I've written. Like, that would be a slam dunk. And here we are, like, laughing out loud at jokes that resonate 400 years later, and using phrases and words and ideas that Shakespeare put in print 400 years ago. And it's just astonishing. And so we were sitting at this moment in the show and or writing the show, and I thought, well, we need an All's Well That Ends Well. And for whatever reason, I just thought, oh yeah, well, it would be funny to riff on that title because you get a little joke out of it. All's well that ends ... Well, because if you delay that, it's kind of funny in a way.
It changes. It's hilarious and changes the meaning. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, there's like a built-in wordplay in that. But then I thought, well, that's funny, but it's even funnier because somebody way funnier than any of us wrote that play. I wonder if there's anything in there. And what I thought of first was actually the chorus, because there's this fabulous play. If you ever get a chance to see it, it's called The Collected Works of William Shakespeare Abridged. And it was written originally by this little trio of actors. I think they kind of co-wrote it, co-developed it, largely in an improvisatory way. They had all done Shakespeare, and so they decided to create a play called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged. And it's this absolutely madcap, sort of fast-forward, funny retelling of literally all of the Shakespeare plays. And they make you drop everything and see it if you get the chance. But they make some funny points, like, they call attention to the fact that, Shakespeare was very much of his time. He was a working artist. He was making stuff that resonated with his crowds. They make some funny points, like all of the comedies, all of the Shakespeare comedies, like it's kind of the same formula, right? Like, you need a pair of twins separated at birth. You need some impossibly stupid disguises that prevent people from recognizing each other.
Mistaken identities and
all that stuff. And literally at the end, everybody winds up married.
A big wedding at the end. Yeah.
Right. And I thought, when I was watching that play, I was like, oh shoot. Yeah. I guess it's kind of like, that's sort of the template. And it's not so different from like a modern sitcom where you can kind of like anticipate some of the beats and some of the formulas. But it doesn't make it any less funny. In fact, it almost makes it funnier, because sometimes you know what's about to happen and you're ready to laugh when the laugh comes, right?
Yeah.
But then they also, in that same play, after having like, they barrel through all of the comedies in like 6.5 minutes. It's really, really funny. It's a work of genius. But then they get to the middle of the play and they launch into Hamlet's soliloquy from the first act or second act, whatever it is, of Hamlet, where he's talking about the looking at the airs and what is this that I see in the sky above me, that it used to be nothing but foul pestilence, the whole thing. And you can feel a chill come over the audience. I still remember that sensation of the hair lifting on my arms, right? Because in the moment that they paused all the other storytelling and delivered that soliloquy, you could hear some of the most perfect insights and some of the most perfect language that exist in English. And there's this hush over the audience. It's kind of like this reverence for this inheritance that we have.
Yeah.
And this is the long way of saying that I just kind of love that inheritance. And so I thought about, on the heels of that play, I just kind of made up this rhyme, which is, in comedies, you end up wed. In tragedies, you end up dead. In question plays, you just end up. But in any case, things end. Oh, all's well that ends. Well, all's well that ends. Well. And it was this sort of silly, circular thing. And it's basically true because, you know, Shakespeare's plays divide sort of in 4 categories. You've got comedies, everybody winds up married, and that's the gag. Tragedies, everybody ends up dead except for one person who's the witness to retell the tragedy.
To retell the story, Yeah,
it's Horatio looking on the bloodbath at the end of Hamlet. And then you have the history plays that, you know, it just sort of end historically, which is mostly death. And then you've got these things that they call question plays where they're a little bit harder to make sense of, but I think the joke is they just end up, right? And so I thought of that, and I thought, oh gosh, it would be really fun to spin something out of this. And that led to coming up with a first verse, and it's just me being silly. And so it's like, it turns out I'm all spleen. Of course, that's like the medieval notion of humors, right? Like
humors,
our attitude and well-being is governed by the bodily humors in and out of balance. And, you know, if you're spleen or splenic, even today, that kind of means what, like melancholy or depressed or brooding or whatever, and is what it is. It turns out I'm all spleen. Modern doctors agree. It explains everything. My fate and my folly, my emo melancholy.
My emo melancholy.
Although my science is regressive, it should still be so impressive that I know what I know, 'cause the bard told me so. And so it spins this little thing about reflecting on what we know today because of what we inherited from Shakespeare specifically. And, you know, it just gets sillier and sillier. If brevity is the soul of wit, ain't it hypocrisy? Just a bit. Coming from a Brit who just writ and writ and writ.
and writ.
But if you've been hoodwinked or bedazzled, jaded, lonely, or obscene, or eaten out of house and home, it might be Greek to me. Those are all phrases that we inherited from Shakespeare. But you know what I mean. Yes, you know what you know because the bard told you so. And so, you know, it's just this kind of like riff on a thing that I love, which is a theme. You know, whenever I find something that I appreciate, I tend to express my appreciation creatively, whether that's in music without words, like a orchestral kind of thing, or music with words, including when I write the words. And so that's what this came from.
And it makes me think of, you know, there's I can't remember who I was talking to. It might have been Rex, our baritone from this past season, or it might have been somebody else who is very accomplished in the musical theater world. And we were talking about something, some Sondheim show, and I can't remember which one. And we were talking about some of the lyrics and the music, and they're just like, oh man, he was the only one that musicked and lyricked the way he did, and that could do both at the same level. And I feel like, and this might sound like false flattery, it's truly not. I genuinely believe I've seen some pieces by composers who have written the text themselves, and most of the time it's this is going to sound like a harsh criticism. It's really not, but it's like educational composers who are pumping out age appropriate music for junior high and high school choirs. because they just burn through repertoire faster than any other ensembles. And sometimes they'll write the words themselves, and it's just, they tend to be, well, let me just say they're not this. And so I think this is Andrew's Sondheim shining through, because those words on their own hold their own weight and merit as much as the music does, I think. And it was the way that they roll off the tongue, they roll through the phrase, they sing really well, the vowels are in the right places, and there's like this poetic, substantive depth to it with intelligent but not intellectual kind of flow, and this accessibility still exists. So I think it's, I don't know, it was one of the funnest pieces we've ever done, and I think one of the most fun we've had trying to bring a text to life. And I still remember when Michaela came from Synergy Vocals, or Synergy, or that Synergy Vocals from the UK, and did a really great workshop with us. They had come for Utah Symphony's performance of Desert Music by Steve Reich, and we happened to be available for her to come and do a workshop with us the following night before she ended up flying back to the UK. And she had really great things to say about, oh, this text is brilliant. Like, bring out this joke, sing this here and do this way, so that way the joke lands, because the joke's got to land. And so back to, I mean, we talked a little bit about storytelling last episode, but in this one, it's taken one step further, where it's kind of a madrigal in the sense that the text takes the front seat and is like driving the car for sure at a faster pace or more present textural level than even Poor Richard's, which it already kind of was at that level. But there's something speech-like in the delivery of this, especially the verses, where it's like there's got to be that real speech-like approach that lets these jokes land and come through. And so it was we came at it from kind of a different angle than we did Poor Richard's, but it was just so fun to bring it to life and to see the jokes and be like, that's what this is. This is how the music mirrors the text and the joke. We've got to like add about 10% of an expression or articulation or a dynamic or a vowel or a tempo or whatever to help the joke really land, instead of just leaving it to, they'll get it, because it's like, well, then the joke doesn't land and you kind of steamrolled right through the punchline. So that was a really fun part for us to engage in the storytelling. So here's an example.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So here's an example of like, although my science is regardless that, never mind. You go first while I find it, because I have to find the specific example I'm looking for.
I'll just comment on a couple things. And it was awesome to work with Michaela, because she had such terrific dramatic intuition. And I think there's a couple things happening here. And one is that, I've thought of myself as a songwriter since I was writing, really bad little songs for myself in my big emotional life when I was like 13, Yeah.
And speaking of emo melancholy, that early 2000s, late 90s emo, there's just nothing that takes me back instantly to like teenagehood than hearing, "Where are you? And I'm so sorry." You get those big feelings and that kind of nasal whiny singing,
Well, I was at a concert once, and the MC for the concert honestly was a little sappy for my tastes, but he said, music is what feelings sound like. And I was like in the middle of like stifling my chortle when I thought to myself, I mean, that's really dumb, but it's kind of true. And when I think back to like myself as a teenager, like where did all of my feelings go? Well, into music, through music. Like there's a really good reason why every kid should learn to strum a guitar, right?
Yeah. Yeah, or
It's like,
bang on a drum.
Seriously, it's free therapy. Like you want to get through all your big feelings that you're certain nobody else in the world has ever possibly felt before.
Dude, just go listen to Linkin Park with the drum set and just smash, and you will feel seen.
Yeah.
You know?
You just write all the songs that you need to write. But so I've been a songwriter for good or bad kind of forever. I mean, for what, 30 years or something like that. And I have actually written lots and lots of songs, most of which have never been heard by other people. But I think I've been kind of a student of songwriting, and I love it. And I love it if it's on like the musical theater end of songwriting, where you have kind of like there's a narrative purpose to the song, where your goal is to move the story ball down the field, or I love a sort of like a song, and I tend towards songs that favor some sort of insight, bonus points if there's a cool play on words that could be funny or not, or just deep or something like that. I love that stuff. Yeah. And I'm writing songs constantly. Like we talked about an episode or two ago, sometimes it's when I'm supposed to be writing whatever I've been assigned to write.
And the basilisk is staring at you. You gotta just look adjacently at it. Yeah.
Like when I was supposed to be writing my first symphony, I wrote probably 12 songs in avoidance of the basilisk. So I'm constantly writing songs, constantly writing poems, and sometimes there's long form and serious, sometimes they're short and silly. We could go down that rabbit hole anytime. But I also love humor, and like when at the same time that I was like playing in bands and writing songs as a teenager, I was laughing out loud to Weird Al Yankovic records, and laughing when I watched.
Speaking of a genius, like a true genius, actually, though, just absolute genius.
Well, and like his intuition for parody makes me laugh as much as discovering Monty Python's Holy Grail when I was about that same age, and their flair for absurdity. And the thing, I think humor is just one of the great gifts and phenomena of the human experience, because it's what was it? There's a writer, Anne Lamott. I think she referred to laughter as carbonated holiness or something like that. I might be mangling that phrase.
Brilliant.
But it's this, and I've heard other people say that humor is what happens when truth hits you before you're expecting it. And there's a lot of like lovely descriptions of what's happening, but that sensation of it, where the experience of laughter leaves you in this kind of unexpected, elevated emotional state. And when you experience that with people around you, I think there's a new level of openness and interest, and there's sort of like a spiritual energy that changes in a room. And it sounds kind of dorky, but I find humor interesting in addition to being funny. And humor, it turns out, is actually really hard to pull off.
Yes.
And so when I see a stand-up comic who absolutely has the audience eating out of the palm of their hand, understands comedic timing, and especially if they can do that with wit and heart instead of sort of reaching for stupid or gross or kind of lowbrow, lowest common denominator stuff. I'm so impressed. Like I'm mesmerized. I'm as mesmerized by great stand-ups as I am by great conductors or great composers, because it's a similar capacity to sort of like sculpt the energy in a room and cause everybody to kind of catch their breath and lean forward at the same time. Like that is incredible.
And like you said, insanely difficult. And it makes me think of, this isn't comedy, but it's the Christopher Nolan film, The Prestige.
Yeah.
When you have that classic Michael Caine monologue. Like, how can you get through a Christopher Nolan movie without the Michael Caine monologue? And then it, it's based, that movie's based on a book, which I didn't realize, but then at the end, you have that Michael Caine monologue come back, and he's like, each magic trick consists of 3 parts or acts. And then he talks about how, after the turn, the pledge, the magician shows you something ordinary, but of course it probably isn't. Then the turn, the magician takes that ordinary something and makes it do something extraordinary. But you wouldn't clap yet, because making something disappear isn't enough. You have to bring it back. That's why there's a prestige, which, you could say that's the same formula for a joke, really, of like, you can't just like, the turn alone without the prestige would be the setup and the delivery without the punchline. And when whatever sort of entertainment medium you're pursuing, pulling the audience in and making them wonder. And I love that line from Hugh Jackman at the end. I'm not going to give any spoilers away.
The movie's like
for those
15 years old.
Yeah, that's
no
true.
Spoilers. You're okay.
But when he's sitting there and he's like, you have no idea. And Christian Bale is there and they've been fighting the whole movie. He's like, you have no idea. You don't remember why we did this? It was the look on their faces. Like, if you could make them wonder just for a second, then you've got to see something really special. And it's like, ooh, that's like a really cool line. And I think that you're right. Like, I think that, the world has gotten really serious, actually. And a lot of society is really serious, and everything is about trying to make a point. And so I find that even in arts, in classical music, in choral music, especially because there's text, everyone's trying to say something profound or morally just, or there's nothing like wrong with that, in my opinion. It's just not my style. It doesn't speak to me. And so I think saying it underhanded through humor genuinely builds that community bond, which we can talk about in another episode of, like, that's why Sound of Ages exists. And something that may seem silly, like All's Well, that has this incredible depth, pulls the audience in and just like holds them there, and they're sitting there, and then you've got to see them wonder, even just for a second. And then that's when I see and hear something really special. And this now audience is like this community that all has this shared thing. So,
yeah. Well, I agree with
totally
that, because I feel like the question of persuasion is a really thorny thing, because
totally.
If you actually respect the intellect and the moral capability of the people who are in the room with you, you'll be careful about trying to persuade them of anything. I think that's a human dignity thing. And beyond that, one of the least persuasive things that you can do is attempt to persuade somebody by brute force.
Right. It's a paradox. Like, it is 100% this paradox.
And I feel like what humor does, though, is it, especially in a social context, is it pulls people towards each other. You're sitting there side by side. It lifts you into an elevated emotional state. And then if you respect the intellect and the moral capability of the people in front of you, you can present information if you want and trust them to reason and to feel and to do what they need to do as human beings. But these are all things that I love about a laugh, actually. I mean, that sounds so silly, but I think humor is this kind of thing that's deep. And I know some people, they say that they fear public speaking more than death, or they hate the idea of public speaking. And for whatever reason, I've just been kind of wired differently. I don't know how that happened. I don't mind public speaking even a little bit. And I actually find it really, really fascinating, because I want to know if I can say something that catches people off guard or gives something, provide a little twist.
Yeah.
And I want to know if I can cause people to smile and cause them to laugh and cause them to lean forward and care and be interested in either the subject matter or in each other or all these kinds of things. There's something very humane about that, that kind of possibility. And it intrigues me. And honestly, that's the same impulse behind a piece like this. It gets kind of silly, right? Because in the little bridge, if you want to call it that, it says, if you can read this bumper sticker thanking English teacher. Well, I mean, there are literally bumper stickers that say that out there. But if you've got any words at all, maybe thank old Billy Shakespeare. Time moves on, and I'm glad my barber does not bleed me. But I've got a hunch that in 400 years, there won't be a soul who reads me. Right? And so it's this just kind of a reflection on our moment in time.
That ends.
Yeah. And then it goes into that insane thing where we try to list every Shakespeare play by title.
Yeah, and then Drew lists every single play, and hopefully this isn't too embarrassing for Drew, but there was it was just a really cool moment for me though when our guitarist Sam Handley came to us after the first draft and be like, wait, what about this one? And what about this one? And Drew was like, oh crap, I forgot some.
Well,
and
what
so
had
we had to like extend the thing.
So I had this idea that a fun comic gag would be to name every Shakespeare play. And that's kind of a heavy lift because there's 37 or 38 depending on how you count. Right. And what I had done is I have a complete works of Shakespeare upstairs, and I took the index and I wrote them all down, but then half the list actually got covered up when I was working on the original draft of the piece. And so we were in rehearsal and Sam was like, yeah, what about, and I realized that a couple of the titles had been, not quite half, but a couple of the titles had been left off. And so I think between the first time we performed this and when we recorded it, I added the rest, and it stretched that section out a little longer than I would want from a like musical pacing purpose, but I think that it checks the box and does it a fun lift.
Oh yeah, so I think it still totally works because it's like it's all wrapped up in this like other bigger narrative that totally makes sense. It's kind of like this is just what it made me think of is when the parrot. Is it the Stabat Mater? Where the big, huge Dies Irae climax is a couple minutes into the piece, and the whole thing is like 20 plus minutes.
Oh yeah, Miserere.
Oh, Miserere, yeah. And it's like, usually you work towards the climax and then you fall. That one was like, here, bam, here, and then stay. And for some reason though, because Arvo Pärt is who he is, and because of the way he is like meticulous about musical architecture and those things, we just don't question it. And so I didn't question it.
I love that. Yeah, I love that piece though, because you have this like astonishing triple forte, kind of rock your socks off sort of thing in the first couple of minutes of the piece. But I think that I wouldn't have had the guts to write that way. But then I realized, oh my gosh, you have the rest of the piece to reflect back on what just happened.
Exactly. It's like meta.
Really powerful.
It's telling a bigger story, right? I just feel like it's zooming out a little bit. And I feel like this one works the exact same way where it's, I mean, you wouldn't use this in your beginning songwriting or composing class about musical architecture.
Yeah.
But you would use it in an advanced class about how to use architecture very intentionally to achieve kind of a meta narrative, some sort of story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And actually, I mean, like in songwriting classes, people will typically start with the common song forms, right? So you'd have A, B, A, which is the song,
Yeah.
which is the form of a lot of like the Great American Songbook songs. And typically
Yeah.
the title is at the end of the A section, and then you have a contrasting B section, which is kind of a, it's sort of a bridge, if you want to think about it. They use different terminology for that. And then you're back to the A, and there's, Blue Moon would be an example of that. And there's a lot of great songs that are built around A, B, A. So then, you'd probably learn A, B, C, B, where you have verse, chorus, bridge, chorus.
Bridge, chorus.
And you make a good point, because investigating songwriting as an art, you start looking at song form as an idea, and you want to learn why conventional song forms are effective and which songs are fabulous examples of that. And part of the reason that you want to learn that is so that then you can appreciate the really clever twists on a theme, or really clever ways
Or
to
something like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, sure.
That actually is significantly cooler contextually than it is in a vacuum.
Sure.
Right? Because you realize how it stood and how it was perceived and what it means and what everything else was doing, and even Queen's other songs, right? So it's like,
or Good Vibrations from Beach Boys, post Pet Sounds. I think it's all. I mean, it's cliche, but it's like you learn the rules to break them. And so you could look at this song and say it is essentially A B C A B as a song form, and that's right. You've got verse, chorus. Then the bridge that gives you some sort of counterintuitive insight. That's what a bridge frequently does. Sting is really good at writing bridges. And then we come back to a verse before the final chorus. But this last verse is the one where we're going to spend a little bit more time. And it has the function of kind of a long, slow build back towards the chorus, which is where the title and the punchline are. And so this last verse, it turns out nothing's new. As long as life is tempest tossed, as long as lovers are star-crossed, as long as there's fate and folly and emo melancholy. So that's the same as the first two verses in terms of its melodic and harmonic structure. Then it goes into this little diatribe. As long as all those things are true, we'll need merry wives, A Winter's Tale, Taming of the Shrew, Venice and Verona, Love's Labor, Much Ado. We'll need Comedy of Errors, As You Like It, Yes I Do, Midsummer Nights for Dreaming, Measure for Measure, Twelfth Night 2. We'll need Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet and Macbeth. We'll need Caesar, Lear and Cleopatra, Othello, Titus and Timon, Coriolanus, Pericles and Noble Kinsman, Cressida, Henry, Richard, Cymbeline. Okay, fine. And 154 sonnets. Tell me what we know. Because tell me we know what we know. Because the bard told us so.
Bard told us so. So yeah. Oh man. And that's so when we get to the Henry, Richard, Richard, that is one of the moments where, Michaela was like, you can really lean in to that sensibility, and you like Henry, you almost have to sound exasperated at the end. Henry, Richard, Henry, and so you sing the notes just a little bit differently, and
because it's a joke.
And the same thing happens then when we get to let's see here, I gotta find this. This is if I go back to it was the isn't it a little bit ain't it hypocrisy just a bit coming from a Brit, if brevity be the soul of wit, ain't it hypocrisy just a bit coming from a Brit who just writ and writ and writ. And we just kind of, who just writ and writ and writ, like, but she's like, no, who just writ and writ and writ. Like it's kind of got a little bit of a ritardando with tenutos and heaviness in order to like bring that joke really to the forefront and have it land. And it's like, yeah, okay, there's all these things that, anyway, that was kind of a backtrack, but I remember that from before.
And I think that's actually a really good point, because I think that in the context of a vocal music concert, and especially one that is this narrative spin on a vocal music concert, there's a fair amount of like setting expectations with the audience. Yeah. They have to know that it's okay to laugh, that it's okay to laugh out loud, that it's okay to have a good time. And we did that before they ever heard a note of music, because of the way that the concert is titled and presented, A Death in the Choir, the choral murder mystery. It's inherently funny. It should be funny. Yeah. But then from the beginning of the concert, the conductor drops dead with a baton sticking out of his chest. And they have to know that they're in for a laugh. And it should be okay to laugh and to respond in real time and groan when there's dorky puns in the narration, which there were lots of. But I say that because even though they understand that contextually it's okay to laugh, we get to this last number, which is kind of the it's putting a button on the thing, and it is the all's well that ends well moment.
Like perfect ribbon on this package.
But even then, they heard the first words they hear is, "It turns out I'm all spleen." They have to know that this is about to be silly
in a choral concert ever.
Right. Because if you do it too properly or something like that,
right,
it defeats the purpose of a piece that's meant to be lighthearted. And so getting those words to land in the intent, like according to the intent, is really vital. It's not just a question of right notes, right? It turns out I'm all spleen. Modern doctors agree. It explains everything. And if there's a certain like lilt and silliness in it, then everybody's like, wait a minute, I'm cluing into what's going on here.
Yes.
These words are supposed to be funny. And I get to encounter this as a joke. Right. And this is going to be okay. But I really think that humor depends so much on cultivating that context in the room.
It's like the pledge of the magic trick. If we go back to like the Prestige, right? The pledge has to let them know that this is going to be a joke and it's going to be funny. And then you get the ultimate musical punchline. I just can't think of a better way to end the button than how you did it with that chord on. So you have this big open sing, because that's the other funny part. Is it's like, well, not funny part, but that's the other interesting part about this piece is the very last thing is, "Oh, all's well that ends," and it's actually pretty astonishingly beautiful to hear them just like open up and sing that bit. And all's well that ends, all's well that ends. These like chromatics, and then you have that stinger jazz, ba-da-da, doom doom doom, with then the ultimate Shakespeare text, exit pursued by a bear.
Yeah, I mean the theater community, I think lots of people agree that it's one of the most famous stage directions in all of drama. Exit pursued by a bear. It comes from A Winter's Tale, and it's like a wonderfully screwball, unexplainable kind of direction, and everybody has fun with that line. But I think what I like about what you're saying also is that when it's surprisingly beautiful. I mean, these guys are fabulous singers, and when they, it's surprisingly stupid at some moments too, because in a previous chorus, it's like in comedies you wind up wed, in tragedies you end up dead, and Samantha it says, "Bummer." And I think that's so funny. Like,
it's so good, man.
It was amazing in the context of the live performance, especially. Because you just heard everybody kind of giggle, right? Like,
it's like the best
It was
understatement.
so funny.
And the
so
way
funny.
she said it was perfect too.
Bummer. But then you get to the end, and like you were saying, it kind of opens up and sings beautifully. And I feel like the kind of humor that I like best, well, I mean, listen, Bring Out Your Dead never gets old. There's a lot of like lowbrow humor that I like also, but the humor that I will claim to like the most has a heart piece, because it's oftentimes this like little counterintuitive twist in the joke or something like that leads you to a little insight in your own humanity, or a little opening inside of yourself. That is, I think, the higher form of humor.
That's why, I mean, to relate it to like popular culture or film again, it's like, it's why those the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s like comedies with Robin Williams and Adam Sandler all had actually, like, some of them even I think of Mrs. Doubtfire. That movie is basically perfect, but it's like really heartfelt at the end. You kind of get a little teary, you know. You're like, wait, what is happening? I thought this was just going to be a comedy of whatever, but yeah, it's that heart pieces, and that's exactly. I didn't have the words to describe it, but that's exactly this last chorus that just blossoms with the final little joke that happens at the end credits of Exit Pursued by a Bear, which I had no idea. When I first, I was inducted to my schools, to the Thespian Society as a senior in high school. Yeah. Because I did tech and I crossed off all the boxes, but I was not a Shakespeare. Didn't know anything. Still don't know anything. But so when you sent me the first draft, I was like, I don't get it. What in the world is the Exit Pursued by a Bear? And then when you told me the story, I was like, oh, that's the most perfect way to end it that I could ever imagine. So I think it's so clever.
Well, all I can say is don't ask me any details about ice hockey or any sport.
Yeah, but you have like this significantly less sophisticated than Shakespeare. So as long as one of us brings sophistication to the table, I'll bring the lowbrow, brute, primal, athletic brouhaha. I don't know what else to call it.
Well, to quote the great movie Condor Man, you bring the Dostoevsky and I'll bring the dip. Yeah, anyway, that's a deep and dumb cut. But I will say that the Exit Pursued by a Bear, the season when we premiered this, Lucas Zeal was singing bass, and talk about a guy that has a solid D, right? And I was thinking like, ooh, I want a juicy, shiny, happy chord at the end. So you get this, this tall altered chord, and then like in my dreams, could I sing that note? That would like, man,
I
if
can
I had
fry
to
on that note on a good day, but
jeez. Anyway, so,
pursued by a bear,
well, fine. What is it? Just because it's the morning you can do that?
Oh yeah, and that doesn't really count. That carries from about me to the microphone. So if I'm in even a rehearsal room, everyone's like, "What is that?" So it doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, this is all to long way of saying I think it's going to be really fun to release these two pieces, All's Well That Ends Well, plus Poor Richard's Madrigal. I feel like they fit together in a kind of in a way, right? And
totally.
What I wish, and I think the recordings in both cases are really good, terrific performances. Yeah. And what I wish we could import is that sense of live silliness and laughter, because that's the other ingredient, right? Like when we did both of those pieces in their various concerts, you could feel that little spark of openness and warmth
Totally.
in the room from that experience of humor. And I think comedy is hard. Comedy songs are even harder, but it was really a fun experiment, and should do more silly stuff.
Yep. There is one that we should talk about in the future. The Guilty Pleasures medley is truly next level genius. You take this has some sophistication, some rounded edges, this perfect little humor package, and then there's just completely unhinged, and that's the Guilty Pleasures medley, and it's incredible.
That will be a conversation for another day.
Yes. Yeah. So enjoy these two singles. They were originally going to be on Wind, Water, Stone, and then we just felt like they didn't really fit the rest of the vibe of the album. That album was this story, and I'm really happy with the track list that is there currently. But we recorded a slew of other pieces that we'll be releasing as singles, and this and Poor Richards will be coming out on July 10th. So you want to make sure to catch it on all your streaming devices and just listen to it and have fun listening to it, and let it just be a little lift of your day.
Rate,
click,
sign up,
email,
smash
do
those
all
buttons,
the things.
Send us donuts.
Yes, all the buttons. I don't know where they are on the screen.
Did I get any of that right?
In one of these corners. And the donuts, the donut button, click send donuts. To Drew's house only, dozens at a time.
But frequently, yes. Send
It'll
them
be
all.
a gift or a prank or both.
I accept.
It turns out I must bleed. Modern doctors agree. It explains everything. It explains my fate and my folly, my evil melancholy. Although my science is regressive, so impressive, that I know what I know, 'cause the bard told me so. In comedies you end up in tragedies you end up dead. In question plays you just end up, but in any thing's end. Oh, all's well that ends, well, all's well that ends, well that ends. If brevity is the soul of wit, in hypocrisy, just a bit, coming from a Brit who just writ and writ and writ. But if you've been hoodwinked or bedazzled, or cheated or obscene, or eaten out of house and home, it might be Greek to me, but you know what I mean. Yes, you know what you know, 'cause the bard told you so. In comedies you end up, in tragedies you end up dead. In question plays you just end up, but in any thing's end. Oh, all's well that ends, well, all's well that. If you can read this bumper sticker, thank any English teacher. Thank you. But if you've got any words at all, maybe they that's insane. But I've got a hunch that in 400 years there won't be a soul who reads me. It turns out, nothing's new, as long as life is tempest-tossed, as long as lovers are star-crossed, as long as there's fate and there's folly and emo melancholy. We'll need merry wives, a winter's tale, the taming of the shrew. Venice and Verona, love's labor, much ado. As you like it, yes I do. Measure for measure, 12th night too. We'll need Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet and Macbeth. We'll need Caesar, Lear and Cleopatra, Othello, Titus and Timon, Pericles and noble kinsmen. Henry, Richard, John.
Okay, fine.
And 154 sonnets. Tell me that we know what we know, 'cause the bard told us so. In comedies you end up wed, in tragedies you end up dead. So dead. In question plays you just end up, but in any case things end. Oh, all's well that ends well, all's well that all's well that ends, all's well that ends well. Exit pursued by a
Thank you for joining today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Again, be sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, sign up for our email list, go visit our website, download all the things on the streams, become a Sound of Ages fan, and your life will get better. Do you want your life to get better, to get worse, or to stay the same? It's about to get better. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Oh,